Welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today. We are going to be exploring a topic that, let's be honest, captures our imaginations from the time we're little kids and just never really lets go. Dinosaurs. But we aren't just going to sit here and look at some cool skeletons. We're going on a quest to figure out exactly how these magnificent creatures are actually related to one another. We are going to map out the dinosaur family tree. And trust me on this, there is a massive prehistoric plot twist waiting for us at the end that literally turned the scientific world upside down. It's an absolutely incredible story about how we classify life on Earth.
Okay, so let's dive into this by grounding ourselves in reality first. Before we can even begin to build these abstract scientific categories or draw out complex family trees, we have to start right here, in the dirt. Paleontology is incredibly hard physical work. I mean, you have teams of scientists spending weeks out in harsh, unforgiving conditions, carefully uncovering, stabilizing, and putting field jackets over fossilized bones, all just to transport them safely back to a museum. Every single classification we're going to talk about today stems directly from this grueling process of chipping a fossil out of rock. This is the foundation. This is where the data actually comes from.
And from all of those hard-won fossils, scientists over the decades painstakingly built this, the big picture. This phylogenetic tree represents the 130-year-old status quo of how we've understood dinosaur evolution. The classification of dinosaurs actually goes all the way back to Victorian times. Back in 1887, a Cambridge-trained paleontologist named Harry Gaviev-Seeley determined that all these wildly diverse dinosaurs fell pretty neatly into two distinct lineages. If you look down at the bottom of the diagram, you'll see the tree splits right at the root. For well over a century, this foundational split has been taught as absolute scientific gospel.
Now you might be wondering, why exactly does the tree split there? Well, Seeley didn't base his two major categories on whether a dinosaur had huge horns, or razor-sharp teeth, or a super long neck. He based it entirely on the arrangement of their hip bones. He separated them into Saurischia, which literally means lizard-hipped, and Ornithia, meaning bird-hipped. In the Saurischians, the two lower bones of the hip point away from each other, kind of just like in modern lizards. But in the Ornithischians, those two lower hip bones both point backward, which looks really similar to the hip structure of modern birds. It was just a brilliantly simple way to categorize hundreds of different, crazy-looking species.
But wait a second. So the crucial point here is, are birds descended from the bird-hipped dinosaurs? Actually, no. In what seriously has to be one of the greatest ironies in all of evolutionary biology, modern birds actually evolved from the Saurischia, the lizard-hipped branch of the family tree. No way, right? Their evolution of true bird hips occurred way after that initial Saurischia and Ornithischian split. It's this beautiful, mind-bending example of convergent evolution, where completely different branches of the tree of life independently develop very similar physical traits over millions and millions of years.
So, let's get into Saurischia, the meat-eaters and giants.
Let's look a little closer at that first major branch, the Saurischia. Now, you'd probably assume that a group sharing the exact same hip structure would look, somewhat similar to each other. But the Saurischian branch is deeply divided into two incredibly distinct subgroups that honestly couldn't look more different if they tried. First up, we have the theropods. These are your classic, terrifying apex predators we all know and love from the blockbuster movies. They walked bipedally, meaning upright on two strong legs. This posture, paired with clawed feet, made them incredibly fast, agile hunters. They were mostly carnivorous, equipped with smaller arms for grasping prey, and these massive, strong jaws filled with sharp teeth to tear flesh. This group contains the real heavy hitters, like Tyrannosaurus rex, the raptor families like Velociraptor and Utahraptor, and yes, as we just learned, the feathery ancestors of the modern birds hanging out outside your window right now.
But sharing that very same lizard-hipped branch with the fearsome, sprinting theropods are the sauropods. And they are an entirely different story. Just take a look at this towering skeleton of an Apatosaurus. These were enormous, quadrupedal animals, meaning they walked on all four stout legs. They were herbivores, using their incredibly long necks to browse way up high in the tree canopy, balanced out by these equally long whip-like tails. I mean, they were just monumental in scale. Just to truly appreciate the awe-inspiring size of this side of the Saurischian family, take a look at the skeleton of the colossal Brontosaurus. This is a close relative in the diplodocid family. Can you even imagine the sheer volume of plant matter an animal of this immense size had to consume every single day? It's wild. Yet, according to our 130-year-old traditional family tree, this lumbering, long-necked giant and the super-swift meat-eating T-Rex are grouped right together as closest cousins on the Saurischian side of the divide.
Let's move on to the next major group, Ornithischia, the armored plant eaters.
Now we're shifting over to the completely opposite side of that traditional tree, the ornithischians, or the bird-hipped dinosaurs. Unlike the lizard-hipped cousins we just talked about, almost every single ornithischian was a plant eater. Furthermore, all ornithischians shared a really specific special anatomical feature. They had a unique beak bone called the predentary right at the tip of their lower jaw, which was absolutely perfect for cropping tough Mesozoic vegetation. And the fossil evidence strongly suggests that, unlike a lot of those solitary predators, these animals were highly social and actually lived in herds. Now, to keep us from getting totally bogged down in complex Latin names, let's just break down their incredible diversity. They basically split into 5 distinct, highly specialized groups. You have your heavily armored tanks, the ankylosaurs. You've got the ceratopsians, which includes famous horned faces like Triceratops. You have the ornithopods, which are the large, herd-dwelling duck-billed dinosaurs. Then there are the pachycephalosaurs, those really cool bipedal dinos with incredibly thick, bony, domed skulls. And finally, the stegosaurs, instantly recognizable by the massive, kite-shaped plates running down their backs. All plant eaters, all bird-hipped. Okay, get ready for this. Shaking the family tree. So that's the picture, right? A super neat, tidy, 130-year-old system. Saurischia on the left, Ornithischians on the right. Simple. But here's the thing about science. It's never truly settled. It's an active, living, breathing process. And in 2017, a groundbreaking study published by researchers from the University of Cambridge and the Natural History Museum in London completely shook the roots of the dinosaur family tree. Lead author Matthew Barron and his team, well, they didn't just look at hip bones. They conducted an absolutely massive analysis. They examined dozens of different fossil skeletons and meticulously logged tens of thousands of specific anatomical characters. They looked at the data with completely fresh eyes and modern analytical tools, questioning those very foundational assumptions that Seeley had laid down way back in the Victorian era. And what they found buried in that mountain of anatomical data was staggering.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates the magic of discovery. Listen to this quote from Matthew Barron himself. He said, "This conclusion came as quite a shock since it ran counter to everything we'd learned." So what did they actually find? They discovered that some ancient ornithischians appeared incredibly anatomically similar to the meat-eating theropods. Their data concluded that the old paradigm was simply, well, wrong. The carnivorous theropods, like the mighty T-Rex, were actually more closely related to the herbivorous bird-hipped ornithischians. They both belonged together in the exact same clade. Basically, both groups had the potential to evolve a bird-like hip. They just happened to do so at different times in their evolutionary history.
So, what on earth happens to our giant long-necked sauropods if T-Rex leaves the Saurischia club to go hang out with the Ornithischians? Well, the poor sauropods get exiled to their very own lonely branch. But there is a massive catch to all of this. If you change the tree this much, the classic long-necked giants like Diplodocus and Brontosaurus technically fall completely outside the traditional scientific definition of what a dinosaur actually is. To keep these iconic giants in the dinosaur family, scientists literally have to rewrite the formal technical definition of the word dinosaur itself. Talk about a game changer.
And that really leaves us with a fascinating thought to wrap up this explainer today. I mean, think about it. If a foundational 130-year-old scientific classification, one that's been printed in literally every textbook across the globe for generations, can be completely uprooted and redrawn by a single new analysis, what other certainties out there are just waiting to be rewritten? It's just a wonderful reminder that science isn't some static list of facts to be memorized. It's an active, relentless, ongoing quest for the truth. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.